Let's see if this one works better.
It's already recording?
All right, I'm gonna download the Zoom. Send me the code. Let's see.
Okay, the people on now, I can see it's on now.
Okay.
You already started the recording?
Yeah, it said recording right there.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Dr. Carol, see you. Can you all see me?
Yeah, hi.
Peace, peace. Mackenzie. Word. So yeah, so we're waiting for a couple of people. I had this is all new. We all adjusted to this technology, so I'm getting things situated. So we're gonna wait for a couple more people. I see Claire. What's going on, Claire? You all, I know a lot of us have met online and things of that nature with Generation Hip Hop, but it's good to be able to put some faces to the names that we see. Mackenzie, can you hear me? Mackenzie, can you hear me? Mackenzie, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hi.
Okay, peace, peace. How are you?
I'm fine, you.
All is well, all is well. Like I said, we're waiting for a couple of more people to get in. I was having a little technical difficulties. I was somehow logged into 2. I don't know what that was, but we're gonna work it out. Dr. Carol, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Happy Hip Hop Appreciation Week, everyone. Claire, can you hear me? I can't hear Claire. Is Claire connected? I see your name, but I'm not sure whether you're on. Okay, I see the video is blocked, but can you hear us?
Oh, it's Apollonia. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Peace and much love. How are you? Okay, I see we got Dr. Rich and Raquel. Let me put them in as well.
Hi.
Right, peace. What's going on? Yeah, man. What's
How
going
are-
on, Raquel? Terrence,
How are you?
Dr. Rich.
How are you, family?
Wow, this
How you, Sora?
this kind of feels like a family reunion already. What's going on?
I'm fine.
I'm
Look at-
calling on a couple of people. We're having a couple of technical difficulties. So I'm kind of telling a couple of people to try it now so we can get on and get the historic conversation started.
Hey, everybody.
Hi,
Dr.
Dr.
Rich.
Hello all.
Hi, Dr. Rich.
Yeah, yeah, man. You know,
Hey, Mackenzie.
it's Mackenzie was on. Yeah, I see Mackenzie up there. Mackenzie's still there. Yeah, man, what's going on? How are you?
Good, sir. Doing good.
How are you?
All is
Good,
well.
good.
All is well. Yeah. So okay, now I'm gonna touch. That's my son touched me. Okay. So I want to make sure that I'm mindful of everybody's time. So we're going to get like a couple more that we're going to admit in, and we'll be admitting people in throughout. Again, this is just a community conversation. I'm going to lead the conversation, but everybody kind of feel free. And if someone is talking, we can all mute until, if you have something to say, feel free to unmute on your end. That way I don't have to try to control it on my end. Let's get this started. If you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and get started with prayer. I invite you, whatever position is most comfortable for you to communicate with the Creator. I invite you to assume that position now, and I invite you to allow your eyes to just close and allow you to block the outer distraction. Take a minute and go within. I invite you to be consciously aware of your breathing in and breathing out. We know breath and spirit are one and the same. And in the name of the Most High, the Creator, known by many different attributes, and with us that is never a dispute. We know there is one power, one presence, one intelligence that governs the entire universe. It is the spirit of immortality within us, expressing itself through us as us. a higher infinite power healing our people. We know hip-hop, and as we express ourselves today, let our thoughts, our words, and our actions be guided by our Creator and by our ancestors to have the positive outcomes that we are desiring to be. It is true, let it be. Amen. Ashe, word. Let's get it started.
Amen.
So here we are, Generation Hip Hop, man. This is something that I'm really excited about, man. Just to give a little background, Hip Hop Appreciation Week was started in 1998 through KRS-One and the Temple of Hip Hop. And you know, the main reason that Hip Hop Appreciation Week exists is for us to not only celebrate ourselves, but to decriminalize the images. I'm sure we all can attest, I don't have to preach to the choir, of the images that are typically shown that represent hip hop in their terms. But we, you know, all of us, just looking at all the people that are on here, none of us would probably be the poster children for being hip hop. And hip hop, you know what I'm saying? So Hip Hop Appreciation Week is a time for us to amplify the works that we're already doing in our communities and to challenge each other and challenge others to begin to criminalize these images. You know, our concern with hip hop is how hip hop is going to be looked at in world history. And we don't want to be portrayed in a negative light when hip hop, the whole existence of hip hop, to turn negativity into positivity. Big up to the Universal Zulu Nation. That was the whole point. So somehow, and we can talk about a number of reasons why and what happened and things of that nature, but we have to get to the point where we are going to realign what is happening. And I think that's what all of us in our own way are doing hip hop. So I just want to welcome everyone to this community conversation. I love and respect and honor the work that each of you are doing, because none of us have to do this work. But I believe that all of us feel like this is part of our destiny. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So with that being said, I want to leave the floor open who wants to jump in. I definitely want Terrence to say something about Generation Hip Hop, and Raquel and Dr. Rich, since that's kind of like the executive board. But let's have a good conversation, family.
Sorry, so were you handing over to me there?
Yes, sir, Terrence. I'm handing it over to you.
Greetings to everybody. How is everybody doing? I hope you're all well. Yeah, I mean, from
Karen,
my
can you
perspective,
turn the light on where you are? We can't see you.
the light where I'm at is really bad. Just I'm at
You know what? On that same
very
thing,
bad.
Terrence.
It's got these very dim little lights.
Terrence, on that same thing, prior to you, if we could just go around, everybody do like a quick 60-second intro to who they are and things of that nature. As I said, you all know I am Minister Server. I work with a number of hip hop organizations. Hip Hop Ministries is my organization, which is the acronym for Higher Infinite Power, Healing Our People Ministries. We are a multi-faith ministry. We don't try to condemn, critique, or convert anyone to any religion. It's really about understanding the God within you and not only speaking that, but acting that out and living that out. And I'm blessed to work with Universal Zulu Nation, Temple of Hip Hop, Generation Hip Hop, the International Hip Hop Festival since 2007. And again, I feel like without a doubt, it's a part of why I'm on this planet, to help to enlighten, inspire, and empower people. And the vehicle that God has given me is hip hop culture. So yeah, let's go around and do a quick intro. That's whoever wants to jump in.
Well, this is Dr. Rich. I'm a first generation hip hopper. That's just, you know, I've built my life around the realities of hip hop culture as it relates to youth work and as it relates to kind of building in community. I'm part of the board with Generation Hip Hop. I'm a first generational Zulu member, former leader of Chapter 11, and now presently still installed as the Director of Youth Services Worldwide for the Zulu Nation. So that's me.
Jimmy.
Don't get quiet, people.
It's your turn, Terrence.
I'm sorry.
Peaceful.
Hi, I'm Terence. I'm the executive director of Generation Hiphop. I'm not an original hip hop person. I'm an original creative. I studied art and I spent most of my adult life as a professional musician. But then when I saw what hip hop was, it's just this phenomenal new. When I say new, it's not a it defies sort of description. It has evolved into so many facets and so many productive aspects of creativity that it's its own force today. It's got its own population. It's just incredible to be involved in. That pretty much explains my side.
Who's next?
Okay, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Generation Hiphop, manager of Generation Hiphop Spain. I'm a poet and performance artist, and I've been always in love with hip culture, and I believe in your values and power of hip hop to empower the young. So it is a great pleasure to work with you.
Raquel,
It's an honor.
it sounds wavy. Could you try to get your connection sounds a bit wavy? So could you?
Yeah, it's going in and out kind of.
Yeah.
Mine?
Raquel.
No, Raquel.
Yeah,
Okay.
Raquel.
I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat it?
Meeting.
We couldn't hear you, Raquel.
Yeah, I said your voice was breaking up, was coming in and out. So if you could kind of go back over it and big up to the people that just came in. We're doing a quick intro right now, and Raquel hers now. And if you can mute yourself, that will kind of keep a lot of the background noise. I don't want to mute from this end. I'd rather us mute ourselves. If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. That'll kind of keep the background noise out. Raquel's going to be up next. Intro. Okay, Raquel.
Yes, I'm Raquel Delgado, Deputy Executive Director of Generation Hiphop Global and Manager of Generation Hiphop Spain. I'm a poet and performance artist, and I've been always in love with hip hop, all the elements and the values. And I do believe in the power of creativity. So it is an honor to be part of this amazing project that is going to bring a lot of support to the youth and to all our communities.
Word. Thank you. Okay, let's go up to Yemi Jimenez.
Hi, fam. Sorry, the first, sorry for my horrible English.
We love you.
Sorry.
Appreciate you,
Sorry. For me, it's an honor and pleasure to be here with all of you, sharing of historic moment of Generation Hiphop Global. For those of you who don't know me, I am Jimmy Jimenez, pioneer announcer of hip hop radio in Spain from Barcelona since 1992. I am also co-founder of Generation Hiphop Global together with Terence, with Endava, with the boss, la jefa, Raquel Delgado, the person to one we lot of their effort and perseverance on this project, Raquel Delgado. I'm also director media communication and member of the Generation Hip Hop Spain. My task or work of factions is in Generation Hip Hop Global is to carry all of the most ambitious projects of Generation Hip Hop Radio, a modern radio and unities all our teams from all over the world, cultures, language, that have been contributing or self-financing. What better way to unite people than through global radio? Provide our teams and managers with technology and means broadcast from their countries to the world.
Yeah.
Sorry for my, sorry for my horrible.
No. Great job, great job.
Listen, okay. Conversation is sorry.
No, great job. Great job.
Great job.
Let's go to Mackenzie. Mackenzie, could you unmute and give us a little 60-second blurb?
Yeah. So I'm also like Jimmy Jimenez. I'm better listening than talking. So sorry, my way. So my name is Mackenzie. I'm a dancer. I dance since 15 years ago in 80. And then I create adrenaline hip hop in 80. So, and I meet Rene. I don't know if he's going to join us. Rene make me meet Raquel Delgado, and I became one of the manager of the Asian chapter of Generation Hiphop Global.
Okay.
So I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be in that family, and then I think it's very great that I never expect on my life. I just everywhere I go, everywhere I talk, everybody say we don't know anything about 80, and then I think it's something important for me to be a part of that, to make everybody know that in 80 also we have hip hop, because hip hop is something that can save life, and especially me, that's why I hip hop, and I will never stop doing hip hop, because that's something that saved my life. And then I'm happy to be with you guys, and then I think we are going to do great thing together.
Yes, thank you. Let's go to Dr. Carol.
Hey, how are you folks doing today?
Good, Carol.
I'm Carol O'Connor. I've been very honored to become the Mississippi manager for Generation Hiphop Global. Mississippi has some of the dopest rap music that I've ever come across. It was actually the reason I moved to Mississippi. I am the founder of an organization based here called Rhyme and Reason Foundation, and it's an organization wherein we use global hip hop culture to help young people improve their lives. We host different kind of events in the U.S., here in Mississippi, and sometimes on the Apache Reservation in Arizona. And also we've had events in Ethiopia and Uganda. One of the things that we do, and we can even do nowadays when we can't have live events, we have this book. It's called Telling Our Own Stories. And it contains, this issue has writing and art from about 15 different countries and cultures based in hip hop culture, but not exclusively limited to that, because hip hop includes everything. The introduction to every issue, this is the 6th issue. I'm currently working on the next issue. This current issue has an introduction written by Teddy Yo. I don't know if you can see him, who is Ethiopia's most famous rap artist. And the next issue, the intro is going to be by Bun B. Other alumni intro rappers we have been honored to have in our book are C Murder and 8 Ball and Boosie, and an artist from Mississippi named Lil C. So we really try to bring people together through education, which takes many, many forms, as we all know, and collaboration, bringing people together across countries and cultures and socioeconomic classes and religions and any of the other things that tend to divide people. And then the third element is celebration, because all of us have a profoundly joyous, good time doing all these things.
Perfect.
Give thanks. And I'm definitely a part of Rhyme and Reason as well. I met Dr. Carol, I guess it's probably what, 2012, 2011, something back at the Trinity.
I think 12.
2012, yeah.
At Trinity, yeah.
International Festival. We've been working together since. You know, it's so funny because when I first met her, I often tell Dr. Carol that if someone was just to meet her, she's the last person that that you would think knows anything at all about hip hop until you
Camouflage
with her. And then you're like, wow, you know what's going on? And she has an incredible story that we'll talk about a little bit later, about how she even got to it. But let's go down to Melvin next. Melvin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Tell us who you are and where you are and whatever else you want to tell us.
Okay, mine is short. I'm Melvin from Sierra Leone, West Africa, and I'm honored to be part of this this Generation Hip Hop. And I happen to be the director of Hip Hop International Sierra Leone, and also the co-founder of Young Volunteers Network. Basically, we involve in youth activities, organize hip hop shows, hip hop dance competition, etc. I also happen to be the Global Dance Supreme Director and also the President of the Sierra Leone Dance Sports Federation. That's all about me, and I'm happy to be part of the team, and I hope we'll go hip hop together.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. Let's go down to my sister Tangi, holding down Jersey for us. Tangi.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm in Trenton, New Jersey, which is the capital of the state. It's not a very big state, but it's right smack in the middle of the state. I am
Densely populated.
What'd you say?
I said, yeah, Jersey's densely populated though, even though it's small, densely populated, overpopulated, but that's another conversation.
Densely populated. And very, for those of you who aren't familiar with Jersey, very well located geographically, because Trenton specifically, where I'm at, is equidistant in between Philadelphia and New York City, right? So it takes about like an hour and a half to get to both. I actually grew up in Jersey. I lived here until I left for college. Even when I left for college, I went right across the bridge to Philly. But since living in Philly for college, I've lived in Chicago for 4 years, DC for 4 years, back in Philly for about 4 years, and then I moved to Trenton. I've always been a fan and an enthusiast of hip hop. I was actually born in 1979 in New Jersey, which, if you know anything about Sugar Hill Records, is kind of a historic moment in hip hop, even by itself. But I'm by no means first generation, and respect and salute to the pioneers that are on the call with us. I was working with the Universal Hip Hop Museum project at a point where Generation Hip Hop was founded and formed. I was working very closely with Rocky when he first met Terrence, and I actually penned the letter to invite Ndaba in order to become vice chair of Universal Hip Hop. Universal Hip Hop Museum. So I've been supportive of Generation Hip Hop from the very beginning, and had a couple tough years. And so by the time I kind of came up for air, I reached out to Terrence and to Raquel and was like, look, you know, I'm still down, I'm still here. I still want to, you know, very much be a part of the organization. Terrence was kind enough to allow me to become the president of Generation Hip Hop, or the manager for Generation Hip Hop Egypt, which is how I started at first. And then very soon thereafter, he asked if I would take a board seat. And we came up with the title Director of Planning. I own my own planning firm, Oil House, and Oil House is like, you know, 13 years old at this point. It was founded when I was still in grad school. As a company, worked for a number of hip hop folks like Dr. James Peterson. I did early media work for him. I actually edited Melissa Harris Perry's first hip hop reel. So those are two of the most influential people in terms of like hip hop scholarship that I've worked with. But I've also done a music video, or 2 music videos actually, for the rap artist Capone. A host of, you know, video and other kind of promotional works for independent activist organizations in each one of those cities that I've lived in. Our most lucrative client was Sundial Brands, which is the parent company for Shea Moisture. But we've also done some academic work for Africana Studies at Penn, where I seldomly teach. I actually taught there last semester, and, you know, a number of other places. So video is my art, but I'm a planner by profession, and Generation Hip Hop since day one.
Word, appreciate you for sure. For sure. Let's go to our brother Chip Fu. On the screen, Ms. Roderick Rutherford. Definitely want to check in, brother. Appreciate the work that you're doing with math, particularly. I definitely want to chat with you a little later about what you're doing in math, but let the people know who you are, brother.
Peace, people. Roderick Roachford, Chip Fu, how you doing? I've been a part of hip hop since I could actually remember. And I think that it's given me the foundation to become the person that I am today when it comes to dealing with kids. I created an organization called MATH, which is Music Appreciation, Art, Time, and Healing, that I teach in schools. I teach in 9 different schools now, including college and school for adults with autism. And it basically just gives them the platform to be themselves. I believe that once we give them the platform and let them know that and encourage them, you know, they'll do incredible things. So I'm just happy to be a part of this conversation right now. You know, normally I get all the emails. I try my best to answer them, but I'm pretty busy sometimes. But I'm just happy to be here with everybody to just share my views and everything, with everything. So I'm here.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Let's go to
no problem.
Zydus Payne. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that correctly. Zydus Payne, yeah.
Exodus, like in the Bible.
I just fucked it all up. Exodus.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'll leave now. I'll go before I start. Yeah, my name's Exodus Payne. I'm a rap artist / music practitioner based in the UK, and I do. Oh yeah, and I had a Generation Hiphop in the UK as well. So I'm the manager here, and I do lyric writing workshops within prisons. I go into universities, primary schools, youth clubs. We go out on the streets, but it's mainly because what we do with hip hop is use it for self-expression, and in that way, we also help like the younger generation to just be themselves, and we coat it with goodness. So I don't do no like gun rap or anything like that. I don't like put down anyone that does, because different people talk about their experiences. I've experienced some of that, but I just don't feel the need to, because I have kids as well. So I make stuff that I'd like them to listen to, and other people, and it's not hard to clean up what you do and still get your message across, because there's so much vocab. But that's trying to think what else I do. Everyone else, I recognize a few of the faces here, and you as well, Minister Server. I remember chatting to you back in the days about hip hop and me doing some sessions. But I'm just honored to be in this small screen, like what was it, Brady Bunch?
Yeah, exactly.
Brady Bunch screen. With like legends and great people that are all on the same path. Yeah, so thank you.
Sure, indeed. Appreciate you for sure. Okay, let's go down to Claire. Claire, I almost forgot you was here because I don't see a picture. Can we get a picture or something, Claire? Can we get a quick? I know people are in their quarantine and don't always want to be on, but Claire, we are waiting for you. Can you give us a quick intro? Claire, can you hear me?
Let me see. Apple, can you hear us? Let me see.
Oh, yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. My connection is very, very poor. I was just writing it
I can hear you clearly now. Yeah.
Okay. My name is Clara Polonia Gilarte. I'm chapter manager for Venezuela. I'm in Caracas right now. Yes, Venezuela, South America, and the Caribbean. And well, Raquel just called me up one day and said, Dan Niggas, which is a rapper here, a very known rapper here. Dan talked to her about Generation Hip Hop, and he also talked to her about me because of all the work that I have to do for the past 20-something years, not just here, but in many countries in Latin America. And we instantly connected. Like, Raquel is my sister. We've been speaking for 4 years now. And it's been amazing. We've so many beautiful dreams and ideas, and we are finally making them come true. It's really amazing the amount of people that we get to meet, that we've got to meet through Generation Hip Hop, and the amount of people that all over the world are making things happen and thinking alike. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be sitting here during a pandemic and talking about this stuff with people all over the world. And I'm really, really proud. I'm really proud of Terrence for all the work he's done alongside Raquel, alongside a beautiful team of changing personality and stuff. So it's a good thing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And last but most certainly not least, let's go to Carmelo.
Carmelo.
Hey. Hi, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for inviting me to be on here and talk to everybody. First, I just want to say that this year, the annual Radiotron concert was canceled because the city has no live events going on, and I'm sure it's the same thing all around the world. So they gave us the option to reimagine Radiotron online, and we're going to actually have the first online Radiotron show on June 20th. So it's 30 days from today, and we're gonna be featuring and showing all the elements of hip hop, from DJing and rapping, dancing, and also creating some graffiti art. So I would really like to invite the managers to talk to their members and see if anybody's interested in submitting like a 1-minute little video piece. Last year we also featured several countries. We featured about clips from about 30 countries. So if anybody's interested in being a part of the online Radiotron, please submit your video clip. We set up an email, radiotrononline@gmail.com.
If you could put that in the chat so people can have that.
Okay, yeah.
The chat, people can have that, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, and then the main thing is that this year, we've had different themes for Radiotron. There's been, the cities has, issues with gang violence. So we've had themes like peace in the streets. We've dedicated some Radiotrons to women because women are so underrepresented in hip hop. So this year, our theme is be kind and caring as the new normal. So be kind, help one another, and let's make that the new normal. But also, let's go global. Raquel sent me a list of about 10 countries that are really, in dire straits. They need our support and our help. So I'm organizing LA Youth to reach out to countries, whether it's in Africa or Central South America or even in Europe, where other chapters might even be in a situation where they find themselves homeless. They need a roof over their head. So if we can gather resources to help them with some rent money or resources, what I call seeds, really, whatever their need may be, whether it's having a space, maybe they need a DJ equipment to create, maybe they need a laptop or, whatever they may need to help them, to get ahead in life, we're going to support that.
Okay.
So that's what we're organizing that effort. And eventually when this is over, we would love to visit each and every country and join with them. But, whatever the community needs, that's what we're going to support as a way of expressing, be kind to others as the new normal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank all of you. Again, you know, I'm honored that all of you took time out of your busy schedule. All of you are mad busy. So I appreciate all of y'all, you just taking time out of your schedule to have this conversation. I think, you know, one of the things that I talk to people about often is that, you know, we are still at the beginning of our culture. We're still less than 50 years in our culture. So while we're doing some tremendous things, a number of different times we may get a bit frustrated of what's not being done. But on the flip side, we should really honor what we really have done in the midst of the ongoing challenges, not only in our personal lives, but in societies in general. And, you know, I truly believe that hip hop culture has the ability to transform humanity. You know, the work that I've been doing this work for a long time. And I tell people, everybody has to figure out what they believe is a part of their divine purpose, you know, and I believe every human being has a purpose, like every life form has a purpose. But the difference with human being is that we don't really have to ever do what anything. We can just kind of be. But when you get purpose, then that's when you become alive. And hip hop brings life to people. So, you know, when we talk about the work that each of you are doing, you know, this is God's work in my eyes. And I tell people, I don't really get into religion. Your religion is none of my business. In fact, to be completely honest, I don't know no religion that would have minister service. Like, no religion is having me, you know what I'm saying? And that's okay, because I represent all of them. And yet, you know, my biggest accomplishment, or my greatest accomplishment is being a father and a grandfather. You know, I have 6 children, 3 sons and 3 daughters, and 6 grandchildren. And my youngest son is a senior in high school right now. And he's been blessed to be the valedictorian of the area school for the deaf. So I'm happy that I'm finally ending the children thing. But we have to use, I think hip hop is a life strategy. As I tell people, I'm not concerned about the kind of music that you're listening to and things of that nature. Those are personal choices. But any of us that have been around, we know that hip hop can be used in a number of different ways. We talk about the music. There's enough room for everyone, I believe, but we most certainly know that there's a lack of balance. And Chip can speak to the time, you know, there was a balance in rap music and the mainstream. You know, when Foolish Niggas was out around the same time as NWA and Tribe Called Quest, we had a balance. So we can't blame our young people for not having that balance. It's us as the adults. They have to have a vision of how we want it to be and be willing to push forward and fight for those things, even when it's not popular. As I tell people, I live in Atlanta, but I'm not on the sexy, popular, glamorous side of hip hop. That's not where I even desire to be. But we have to, you know, think about what we want for the next generation. So again, we are only 50 years in. Imagine how hip hop is going to look. We talk about vision. Imagine how hip hop is going to look 50 years from now, 100 years from now. What do we want it to look like? We don't really know what it's going to be, but we can have an idea of what we want to see and do our part in there. So I like for any of you to just kind of speak about the work that you're doing and how that fits into this theme of vision of what we're doing. So Dr. Rich, you want to jump in?
Yeah. I'll jump in. I appreciate you, Minister Server, and I appreciate everybody that's on the call. Really, one of the things that really attracted me to the work and the movement of Generation Hip Hop was actually listening to what Terrence and Raquel were really talking about and what they were invested in doing. Mobilizing global communities under an umbrella that could give all of these different organizations, people, and so on, a sense of purpose and vision as a collective, right? Everybody's doing what they're doing, but the Generation Hip Hop umbrella became a way of giving these different communities a sense of collective purpose. And that really, really attracted me. The second thing that attracted me was conversations that I've had with them about youth and youth development. I've spent the last 40 years of my life working professionally in youth services in New York. And I've been for the last 20 of those 40 years on the front lines of working with high risk, at-risk youth. I do a lot of work around helping people to understand youth development, youth empowerment, and using arts as tools and vehicles and pathways to help support that developmental process. So I was stirred when I heard Terrence and Raquel tell me what was going on. And I said, I'm jumping in. However, just fit me in. I didn't say where, I just said fit me in. And really just kind of started pushing into this whole thing of the idea of using these vehicles to empower our generations. And what I mean by that is, of course, there are a lot of older people involved. When I say older, I mean above 35 and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But what attracted me is that we have to continue to invest ourselves in passing the mantle. Right? And that process of passing the mantle means that we've got to empower young people to be leaders, right? And take responsibility for the evolution of their own generation and culture, right? Their own personal and collective evolution, right? And I mean that from a growth and development point of view. Hip hop is powerful as a tool once used, right? And so I've been very invested in work with New York dance communities. My hip hop investment started in the 70s as a member of Zulu Nation, but before that, I got caught by the hip hop bug. And that hip hop bug was, me growing up in New York City, watching hip hop actually explode. So, I'm a child of the 60s and 70s. So I had the wonderful opportunity of seeing it happen and watching it spread and expand and grow. And I jumped in on the dance side. I jumped in on the art side in terms of graph and writing. And then I jumped in through Zulu and other venues on the knowledge side. I was very stirred by Bambaata's investment into the idea of the fifth element.
Yes.
And the values. And I found myself on the front line of the peace movement that was going on in New York. Because, hip hop emerged in a time where the gang activity was great.
Right, yeah.
So the violence was great. And so hip hop, Zulu, peace movements, elements of the movements of the 60s all kind of came together to create social change. And what excited me was almost all of these were young people.
Right.
They were all young people. And I was stirred by that. These are young people making change. And so I made a commitment to be involved with every generation working to create change. I keep getting older, but I keep trying to stay connected to the young ones.
Yeah, man.
To empower.
Hip hop is most certainly the fountain of youth. As I said, we all should be aging gracefully, but getting old is a mind state. So, hip hop kind of keeps you in that youthful end, particularly, working in that. I appreciate the work that you do, Dr. Rich. Appreciate your persistence with Generation Hip Hop as well, because Tangi, you as well, Raquel and Terrence obviously as well, because Generation Hip Hop, is a big vision. It's a huge thing, and it really takes us being patient enough and committed enough to know that we again are at the very beginning of the work that we're doing. We probably won't physically see the end result. That's how big the vision is.
Right.
The generations before, they knew what they were doing and stepped in there. So who wants to kind of go next to talk about?
Let me just add one thing, and
yes,
this
sir.
is a final comment on vision, right? And it's very simple. I really honestly believe that you can't work with young people without a sense of vision.
Yeah, no doubt.
You're trying to get them to buy into the idea that the investment today will create change that lasts. And for them, a lot of our young people are very now oriented. They're very immediate oriented in their perspective, but they want a better life.
Yeah.
And getting them to understand that the investment today will produce the fruit, right, is critical. And that takes vision. You have to help them to see beyond the moment, right? The struggles, the poverty, the difficulties, the ups and downs, the violence. You have to get them to see beyond that moment and catch the vision of what change could look like.
True.
And then they could apply themselves. But if they don't have that vision, they don't see that there's an end result to the application of action in the now.
True indeed.
And that's a big part of my vision for Generation Hip Hop, is to build materials for the youth throughout the organization that I'm going to rely on other people to help me translate into different languages.
No doubt.
to develop materials that can go to the youth. And I'm primarily talking about the 30 and down, to give them tools that they can use to build. That's my visionary investment in my role in Generation Hip Hop, not from just a board, but being the person responsible for youth services education, is to train the trainers, is to empower the youth to then empower themselves.
And that is most certainly needed. And any way I may be of service, Dr. Rich, you already know I'm here for that, for sure. For sure. Appreciate that. Who wants to go next? Anyone?
I will.
Okay, Dr. Carol.
Since I'm probably the newest member, our vision has been evolving since our organization was founded in 2007 in Ghana originally. And our emphasis is on education. I'm an educator. I've taught in prisons and universities and high school, and even in, God help me, junior high, and been a principal. And one of the things, thank you, one of the things that I think is very important is the idea of collaboration, getting the young people to work with each other, because we don't have to give them a vision. They all have visions. We just need to mentor them and help them develop it so that it's more fully formed. I'm not here to tell somebody what they should plan for their future, but just to help guide them in what their interests are and provide resources for them on their own path of their own discovery. They're plenty smart and they have strong experiences and good ideas. One of the things that we especially work on also is entrepreneurial development. And we've had business workshops that are extremely non-traditional. We had one recently in Ethiopia with a couple of Hammer tribal members who have written for our book. And they were saying that it's difficult for them to make any money. They sell traditional jewelry to the tourists on market days. But the problem was everybody was making exactly the same thing. So we worked with this one guy in particular to help him come up with some unique ideas so that his work would still be true to the Hammer culture, but not just be copycatting from what used to be, but having his own vision incorporated into it as well. And I think that's what empowering people is to recognize that their own vision is important and valuable, and they all have a lot to offer to the world and to each other and to us.
True.
Awesome work, Carol. Awesome work.
Yeah, definitely. And I did this for the middle school. I tell people I've taught from early child development through college and middle school. They couldn't pay me enough to teach middle school again. For sure. So big up for that. And the concept of telling our own stories, I think that is so important, because one of the things that I'm sure all of us have experienced, a number of times young people feel like adults talk at them.
Exactly.
So the whole telling our own stories really helps in that capacity as well, where they can kind of express themselves, particularly when we're not trying to censor language or structure and how they're speaking, whether they're speaking any bodies. Allow them to honestly express themselves from what they're feeling. Hip hop can heal in a number of different ways like that. Okay, who wants to go next to share, anything that they want to talk about as far as vision? Let's go, Exodus. I see you up there.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, vision-wise, here how we do. Well, how I'm applying things is when we go into wherever we're going into, it's like we approach everything with the rap method, because rap is like instant gratification, as in anyone can rap, but it's hard to master. Like so like it's different from singing. So when we go into say the prisons, we have people that have never rapped before, people that have been in there like 25 years plus, saying it's really helped them with expressing themselves, because they don't show emotion when they're in there, like most of the people that we've worked with. And then they come into our sessions and they say it's better than therapy. Like, and that's how powerful hip hop is, because it's getting stuff off your chest in a certain way. And I feel like the vision like we're building is, when we're working with like certain age groups and we hit the age group of about like 18 in the UK, I don't know if it's like different in any other countries, but in the UK, they just leave you because you're classed as an adult, so you have to fend for yourself. And there's no extracurricular things for you for free anymore, in that sense, like what you get when you were considered a minor or a youngster, a youth. And then so what we've been doing is teaching, going into the schools, and once someone's reached 18, 20, forgotten about, we bring them into it, because we have a studio home base here, so we bring them in, help them with work experience. And for myself, the vision is a school where we can have like people that have been kicked out of schools, because they're kicked out of schools because they don't want to conform to a certain, like if you're creative, you're told you're disruptive, so they don't want to be in that session, and then they end up in that vicious cycle of ending up in prison because they feel they don't want to learn because it's boring and you don't get to express yourself. So the end vision is to get some of these youngsters and like save them before they get caught up in that cycle, and then once they're a set age, then they can work for the actual company, and then they go out spreading the word. So it's like a crew of people that understand. They don't have to necessarily, they understand about expressing themselves, as in because rap, I feel, back in the days was about expressing yourself, like you were saying, where you have groups like the Fushnikins, NWA, all existing at one time, but they don't sound the same. But now you're pushed to sound the same as someone else to sell. And rap has always been about being an individual, wearing what you wear, and hence the characters. But now if you want to draw out rap characters, they're going to all look the same and copying each other. True. Like and true say, that may be our fault as elders, because they're our children at the end of the day. They're our children and children of the culture. So rather than put them down, we need to re-educate them or educate them. And yeah, the end result and the end vision is, I feel, is a school where we can educate the people, and obviously go out and do the evangelism. Sure. You can call it that. Sure. Like, but not meaning like, yeah, church, we're gonna, but like, you know, hit them with the Bible. No, I mean evangelism as in just goodness, like showing them about being good men and good women, good people. No doubt. So yeah, bringing that goodness back into life and hip hop, because there's far too much death on television everywhere. So we need life and love. Like I feel that should be a vision, or part of the vision.
No doubt. Appreciate that for sure. I will certainly agree. I think everyone would agree with that. Particularly when we're talking about in this new paradigm that we're creating. We all know, just the way that the world was 60 days ago, the world's never going to be like that again. So I believe this is a great opportunity for, you know, for visionaries and for leaders to put forth the way that we want it to be, beyond any kind of boundaries of what it was. You know what I'm saying? We are the ones that will determine what it will be, you know, and that's, again, when we had the theme of vision, we didn't know it was going to be a pandemic and all that type of stuff. But again, because of a higher infinite power healing our people, here we are in direct alignment with that, you know, again. So Tangi, talk to us.
Tangi, go.
Sorry, it took me a second to unmute.
That's okay. Go ahead, we got you.
Okay, I'm back.
Now also, your camera is turned, so you're coming to us as—
It is. I'm turned this way only. I'll take it off the power.
No, I'm just letting you know. It's all good. We can still see you.
That's hip hop.
Stands, but I can't put my battery in unless it's turned to the side. So I'll put it back, and then it's gonna turn back when I'm
okay. It's all good.
All right, so professionally, as I mentioned, I'm an urban planner, and urban planners do a lot of research-based writing. They are often in charge of creating some kind of funding mechanism for whatever project is on the table, right? So some examples just really quickly of work that I've done. I discovered that as a new career field coming out of academia, right? I was teaching at University of Pennsylvania full-time, and then I took a job at Trenton Housing Authority. And Trenton is like 7 square miles, right? I can't remember exactly the number of residents that we had at the Housing Authority, but you can just imagine, you know, it's like a small city, right? But it has a significant amount of poverty, and their, you know, housing authority is public housing, right? And there I was the director of community revitalization, which means that I controlled everything that wasn't bricks and mortar for the public housing authority, right? So something like 6 different developments, about 3 of which were senior residences, so like senior high rises, about 10 to 12 floors in each one of those. And then all of the rest of the spaces were mixed use family housing, right? And, you know, I did everything from the health fairs to the summer camp for the kids, to job and workforce development, which became kind of like my focus and my area of expertise. And, you know, pipelining in area community micro businesses in order to serve as a bridge between, you know, public housing residents that needed new labor initiatives, to be kind of in an educational pipeline where they could, you know, go into, you know, area resources like Department of Labor and what we call a one-stop job facility in order to get trained in a particular field, but then would have as an end result some place that is local, hiring fairly, despite, you know, employment history, despite criminal record, that sort of thing, in order for them to finish with those jobs. So workforce development became like my strong suit, but we had health programs, we had education programs, etc. Since then, I've done like 1 grant for the state, but I hated it. I hated working for the state, and I hated being there, even though it was only short term. But this kind of research-based writing is the stuff that I do. The way in which I intend to have that, you know, kind of focus and manifest inside of Generation Hip Hop is that for the duration, I want to be able to use that same research-based writing in order to provide strategic capital to us as an organization, right? So
Okay.
I want to be the purse. I want to
Yeah, definitely needed. It's definitely needed.
Yeah, and I mean, not the only one, of course, because Terrence and Raquel and everybody's always busy kind of like funneling resources, even if it's just in-kind resources or financial resources of some kind to the organization. But one of the things I've been consistently upset about, and maybe this is because I'm, you know, New York City tri-state, is the way in which the hip hop industry has constantly exploited Black and brown and other marginalized folks, poor folks, right, in particular. And, you know, if we're going to continue to see the industry give really crappy deals, its artists, and we're going to continue to see our culture exploited in ways where, you know, the artists themselves are not being fully compensated for their art, their gift, and their contributions back to whatever their contributions are. I want to make sure that the only hip hop institution that I'm currently a part of, right, and that is all this Generation Hip Hop is it for me. It probably will be it for me in terms of like a hip hop affiliated identity for the duration, right? I have no plans on like, you know, getting records or anything like that. So, you know, I want to make sure that the part, you know, the one that I'm contributing my sweat equity to is not, you know, overlooking the value of all of the different member organizations that we have, all the different cultural outputs that are coming out of this 55, 60 plus countries, whatever number we're up to now, and is instead kind of directing a flow of resources back into your projects, for those of you that are chapter leaders in different countries, and seeing your work be sustainable and true.
Yes. Yes, definitely, very important, very important. Appreciate that too. Terrence, you know, just as we talked about, you know, this vision of Generation Hip Hop, Going forward, you know, there's been a period of time where we're getting the people together, and now we're at a point now where I think we're ready to have the official launch, because believe it or not, we haven't done an official launch yet. So as far as relating to the vision and moving forward with Generation Hip Hop, I'd like Terrence and Raquel to kind of speak to that as far as what they are looking and to happen, and if there's any kind of time for. I know we're in this new paradigm now where we can physically do things, but where are we moving as far as the directors and things of that nature? If Terrence and Raquel could speak to that part.
What do you mean exactly, Trevor, when you say with the directors?
Is there, like, obviously all of the directors are not on here now, are they? I don't think all the different directors of the different departments, like I'm the director of humanity. I don't know if all the other directors are on there, but just kind of speaking about what they're doing and how it all ties into the vision that you have with Generation Hip Hop.
Okay, well, you know, it's funny that your topic is vision, because you know, it is all about that. It's trying. Hip hop gives us the opportunity to get ahead of the curve in so many things, because it's about the narrative. And when you're talking about the narrative today, it's a global village. So it's about what language are they speaking in that global village? What are they saying to each other? What are they communicating about? You know, it's what Exodus was talking about, is that through the, you know this, and Dr. Rich, right from the beginning of hip hop has been influenced, especially from the music side, by the labels. The labels were inciting them to write lyrics that were antagonistic and that would cause, and that's what happened with the gangs and the West Coast, and the East Coast. And that narrative. Now today you've got a new narrative that says, okay, the world's pretty much a mess. We don't believe in adults anymore, but we've got our own thing. It's called hip hop. And they're writing it the way they see it. And the first thing about that vision is truth. Truth is it's very clear that it's true or it's not true. And youngsters today are at a stage where they don't accept something unless they can see it as that's the truth. So when it comes to anything that's radical, anything that's it's almost like saying, you know, are we extremely nationalistic? Are we extremely religious? Are we not looking down a road that is about humanity? And that's where our thought patterns need to shift, is our humanity, that we think as a collective. Because without that collective, there is no future. So it is about predicting what's coming. And especially now with this COVID, what's coming next is the financial meltdown, which will affect our people very, very badly unless we can plan ahead. So when you're asking what directors are doing, I'll give you an example of just what Stephen and Stephanie at the moment are busy with, and myself are busy with a company called IQEQ that would manage all of our finance across the world, distribute all of our finance, alleviate so many problems, because it's our transparency and credibility that'll be put into question when we're looking for the big funds. So we nearly finished with that negotiation now. But these are the things that address that subject of vision. Where are we going to be? Where we're dealing with fund jewel, we're trying to bring in $1 million. People are going to say, where's that money going? How do they account for it? Are we being compensated fairly? All of that. So we outsourced that to a company called IQEQ. That is their expertise, and they deal with something like $400 billion of investment funds. So it's these things that we're addressing at the executive level is, how do we cater for this now? You know?
Definitely. Well, again, you know, definitely, you know, your vision, just holding on and kind of keeping the teams together and bringing in the different people. Raquel, if you want to speak to, you know, vision in whatever way that you want to talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
I think that the vision of bringing a lot of people that is doing an amazing work all over the world, and to put them all together, to learn each other, to work each other, to create different exchanges is something beautiful. Also, we can see that there are many people that are doing an amazing work. Many of our managers are doing an amazing work. So I think it is something beautiful to bring them support, not just funding. I'm not just talking about money, but also bringing support with education, helping them to create new projects, but always respecting their own creativity. That is so important because they have already their projects, they have their ideas, and they know better than us what is needed in the country. So I think that it's something beautiful to put them all together, to work all together as one, just bringing peace, love, and unity to the rest of the world. So I think that is something beautiful.
However, if I could just make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rich, and I'm just kind of making the comment from a board perspective.
Yes, sir.
Part of what this has been is harnessing, and I'll use a metaphor, but harnessing something that has already kickstarted into existence, right? And giving it a certain type of structure and a certain type of direction that will enable it to kind of be self-sustaining, right? That will enable it to have the resources, and as Raquel said, not just economic, but have the resources that will enable it to empower its member organizations, member communities to kind of move forward. And that journey has been a very, very difficult journey because the power of it draws people to it, right? And so what you're continuing to nurture in the mind of those who bring resources global, you know, with all of these different communities doing phenomenal work, all of these different organizational communities doing phenomenal work and manifesting in a very concrete way how they all fit together, right? How they all move together. And that becomes what you're, for lack of a better way to say it, that becomes what you're selling. That becomes what you're promoting to those who are doorways of resources, is not the fact that all of these organizations are doing stuff, because that in and of itself is the given, right? As Raquel said, it is Generation Hip Hop becomes the stitch. It becomes the glue. It becomes the harnessing force that brings all of these different communities together. And that enables us to not only create pathways of support for individual chapter organizations and affiliates, but to also create these, to create events that actually harness everyone globally. And when you begin to see that global harnessing, that's where you really will begin to see the power of Generation Hip Hop beyond the local community power, right? That's when you'll begin to say, okay, it's not just a community of individuals doing stuff, but they move as a whole. They move as a collective, right? And that is where the greatest power is to me, is in that collective movement. So it takes a lot to get everybody harnessed like that.
Yeah, definitely. And it takes, you know, it takes time and it takes love and commitment as well. I see Tangi down there commenting.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if I could ask a quick follow-up question to Dr.
Sure.
Rich. Dr. Rich, I'm gonna turn so I can actually see you. One of the things I'm curious about, Dr. Rich, is like the way in which you're managing a separate identity, and if you feel like it mandates you have a separate identity from your work with the Zulu Nation and your work with Generation Hip Hop. Because from what I understand of the Zulu Nation, and of course I'm not Zulu, I know you know that, but just for the sake of everyone's phone, I'm not Zulu, but you know, we've done enough work collectively and individually, you know, on the history of our culture to know that the function of Zulu is actually similar enough in alignment, with what our mission is for Generation Hip Hop. And one of the things I've noticed, just as, you know, I follow different country affiliates, member organizations that we have for Generation Hip Hop, is that oftentimes they're promoting both simultaneously, right? They're promoting Zulu Nation, I'm sure because of their direct relationship with you, but then also they're promoting Generation Hip Hop. And I'm all for, you know, hip hop having more than one umbrella organization. I'm not saying that, but I'm just wondering, specific to you as an individual, how you see yourself operating those different hats.
So let me say something, because Tangi's talking about something very important. So in 2014, I'm going to draw some lines that are very important. In 2014, I started an initiative that at that time was under the umbrella of the Zulu Nation's Community Services and Community Affairs Department. And that is called Youth Leadership 8, or YL8. And the focus was to work with young people regionally, nationally, and then internationally, to call them to a simple commitment, right? Of one, be leaders of their generation; two, try to live the values of hip hop, right? Peace, unity, love, and fun. Try to be positive, and try to maintain a certain level of respect and honor. And that simple set of requirements or requests is all that they were asked to do, right? That they're building on their own and building their own stuff, right? And so through that process, I ended up moving that particular initiative outside of the umbrella for financial reasons, right? Outside of the umbrella of Zulu. So it was originally UZNYL8. It is now ZLIYL8, or Zulu Legacy International. And the focus really is, so it's now my initiative, completely separate from the organization. And the goal, of course, through my continued work with Zulu Nation, there's my affiliation, right? But for financial reasons, we needed to move independent because there's a certain level of support that needed to be given to different young people across different regions that, if it was all under Zulu Nation, would have to come through Zulu Nation, right, as an organization. So my goal was actually to allow them to empower themselves. So part of, for example, I'll give you an example, as Tangi was talking, one of the initiatives, groups, or units is in Uganda. And when I met them, they were already the Uganda Zulu chapter. And they were doing hip hop related education in the schools and in the refugee camps in Uganda. And I was asked by some people to talk with them. We got into a long discussion, and they said they would like to be involved with the initiative that I was moving forward. So from 2014 to the present, my ultimate goal is not just to see these young people a part of a initiative, right? But the initiative's goal is to empower them. So now the Uganda team is fully incorporated, right, as an organization in Uganda. And they are their own independent organization. And we are affiliated under the umbrella of YL8 as an initiative, but they are a functioning business now, right? So that is like the goal of the initiative, is really just youth empowerment. So now I bring that over to my work with Generation Hip Hop, right? I came into Generation Hip Hop having already started this work with YL8 and the building of those things. And one of the things that attracted me to Generation Hip Hop was this very thing we're talking about, right? An umbrella under which all of these different independent communities could come together. So for lack of a better way to say it, Generation Hip Hop actually is doing the very thing that we're talking about right now. Because many of these organizations that are under Generation Hip Hop already have their own positioning, right? Not just from the perspective of their work, but also from a business point of view. They already have their structural positioning. And that means that it's not trying to get them to leave that or let that go, but to say that the umbrella organization of Generation Hip Hop is here to bring us all together, right? So there becomes a mutual respect of individual initiative, right? And individual business formation from community to community, region to region. And that enables us to say to larger resource providers, right, or stakeholders, that we would like you to look at this umbrella and see what your resource input could be, right? So there's a larger input level, which is for the whole organization. But then people might feel like, I really have a passion for the UK, right? Do you have any chapter members or affiliates in the UK that I can partner with, right? Or I can provide resources to. So it enables us to then say, yes, he is what, you know, Exodus and the others are doing over there, you know, and how can you guys have conversation about partnership? So part of what I'm doing with YL8 and then my work with Zulu is kind of what we're, for lack of a better way to say it, kind of what we're all doing, right? That we've got all of these little things going on. And when I say little, I'm talking about from a national to international scope, right? We have regional works that have pockets of effort. And the ultimate goal with Generation Hip Hop is to say, you know, you don't lose your identity, right? You gain an umbrella, you know, you gain a community, and continue to do what you're doing, because each community's work provides a resource to other communities. So for example, Chip's math program could be something that we could look at in terms of how can that program be accessible to other chapter affiliates, right? And how do we support him from a business point of view in seeing that emerge, because that's part of the capital or economic empowerment, right? So that umbrella concept is really not just, you know, a light idea. It actually is the way that all of this moves, you know, and oftentimes I say to Terrence, I say to Terrence and I say to Raquel, that Generation Hip Hop is like the umbrella of a fraternity, you know, and each fraternity has its own life, its own works, its own efforts, but membership brings something that they contribute and gives something to them.
Right, exactly.
And that is really where the power is.
Yeah, and if I could add on to what Dr. Rich is saying, I definitely agree with that. Tanji, I hope that kind of answers the question that you asked.
I hope that I did.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, again, just time-wise, I want to be mindful of people's time. It's about 2:30 now. We're going to probably go about another 15 minutes, and then we'll do the kind of the outros. Again, I know all of you are busy. I know we're on different time frames and things of that nature as well. You know, this is something that I hope that even once the situation changes and we can travel again, that we will still have these kind of conversations in smaller groups, maybe more communities and things of that nature. Because my belief is that, you know, real genuine conversations is what's going to take us forward. And you know, to even to have this concept of Generation Hip Hop, particularly when at the core, it's about youth empowerment. You know what I'm saying? At the core, it's about looking beyond what already is. And I think, you know, as people have already said, the work that we're doing individually is one thing, but just imagine imagine when we are collectively working, which is why even like with the different chapters, that's a great analogy that you gave Dr. Rich with the fraternities, because I'm in a fraternity. So yeah, our individual chapter is completely different than just a chapter across the street from us. So yeah, I can most certainly relate to that. Okay, Carmelo, can we get you to comment and share with us anything that you want to share as far as vision?
Well, I think that one thing that the situation with the pandemic is showing us is that we can't go back to, well, we're not going back to whatever was before. So even though I had plans, or we all had plans, what we were going to be doing, well, those plans changed. So I'm not holding on to that. I'm accepting, you know, instead of seeing it as a problem, I'm seeing it as an opportunity. An opportunity to connect with all of you and to connect LA youth with youth from different countries, and And I think that in terms of like education, there's a part of education that I was remiss in teaching when I opened the various centers I opened, and Hollywood came and they made movies, and all of a sudden the goal shifted to being famous, to being rich, to having gold chains and Lamborghinis and having Rolex watches. And so since then I've analyzed, you know, my work, and I feel that the most important thing is to teach young people about character. So I have a character development curriculum that when I work with the youth, that's the at least I do about an hour session of character development, teach them about integrity, loyalty, honesty, you know, taking the words from Martin Luther King when he said, it's not about the color of your skin, but the content of your character. So I think that this pandemic has really taught us to appreciate things that maybe we took for granted. Like I also have I have four grandkids. I have it's my mother's birthday this Sunday, and the family is doing a drive-by birthday. You know, we're just gonna drive by. Yeah, we're gonna drive by and wave to her and leave her a present. You know.
Yeah,
but
you
we
know,
can't hug her.
my grandson's birthday was Saturday, and we did the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just turned 13. Yeah.
So for me, I'm not thinking of going back or resuming the things that I was doing in the past. The vision is to create a new vision for a new world that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we take this opportunity like we're doing now and talking in this format?
Yes.
How can we expand on that? And as far as like the values, like what I was envisioning as people were talking is Generation Hip Hop maybe being that producer that can help to launch artists, but artists with teaching them some kind of a value where it's not about them having a big mansion in Beverly Hills, but maybe starting a school, maybe supporting Exodus with building his school that's his vision. And I share that vision. Like hearing him talk, I'm definitely gonna back that up. Whatever I can do to support Exodus in building his school, because I've dedicated my life as the last 40 years of creating space, holding space. So I'm not a rapper, I'm not a DJ, I'm not a graffiti writer, but what I do is I create space, I hold space. I did start as a tap dancer, so I have an appreciation of dance, and I did ragtime and tap dancing as a youngster. I toured professionally doing that. So I definitely appreciate, the dance and the creative and the art part of it. But my main forte is holding space, but not me running it anymore because I'm retired from that. But I'm about, supporting other people in doing that. So I guess that's all I have to say at this time. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate hearing you. Yeah.
Appreciate it for sure. Clara, can we get you to chime in? Hold on. There's somebody else trying to get in. Let me click them in. Anyone, Yemi, you want to jump in? Anyone wants to jump in? Jose, I don't see a picture, but I see Jose is on. So welcome. You can unmute yourself and say what's up to the people. Jose, tell us where you're from. Chip, I definitely want to talk with you more about the math program and just what's going on with that, because you're actually front line because you're dealing with students all the time. So talk to us. Yes, sir. You.
What's up, people? Frontline, yes. I think that what I'm actually dealing with is the blessed part of the math program is being able to understand how our kids nowadays think and what we could actually do to give them the platform for change. I think that the biggest misconception that a lot of people have is that once a curriculum is created basically from the school system, that curriculum actually would work for every student, which is not true. Because going into several different schools, I've learned that everybody doesn't learn the same. Everybody doesn't remember certain things the same. And I think that you have to treat everybody as an individual, not as a number for one, and not thinking that one person's particular idea for a specific curriculum can work in every school. being in junior high schools, it's difficult. That's why, you know, I have to give a big up to the the lady that said that she taught it in junior high schools also, because it's pretty hectic over there. But I've learned through my initiative that once these kids are given a platform to be themselves, you know, it helps to boost their self-esteem, because it's a situation where everybody's the same. If you give a person a piece of paper, a pen, and just start playing a beat, everybody is put in the same position to basically say what they feel, whether it be negative and positive. And I think that the majority of the schools in New York City, they took notice to this and were saying, there's some kids in social studies that doesn't want to learn history a particular way. But when I match history with hip hop and say, well, listen, we're going to rhyme about Christopher Columbus. We're going to rhyme about the pyramids in Egypt or whatever. And then they say how, and then I start putting words together and start bringing in other teachers from other classrooms that are having problems with their students, especially when it comes down to the testing time in schools, and help them create a way that these kids can learn the material needed to pass the exams, which is basically creating songs around what's needed. And these kids are coming out on top with flying colors, and they're passing all of their classes because of, I want to say, hip hop. So I think moving forward, I want to say with Generation Hip Hop, the math workshop, I know once we start sharing ideas amongst each other, the umbrella could just get stronger, and the different organizations could get stronger. Because I know that I could learn from everybody that's underneath the umbrella, and I figured that all of us coming together with our own quote unquote superpowers, you understand
No
what I'm
doubt.
saying?
That's it right there.
Superpowers. The superpowers could basically just help this thing get bigger. I mean, I'm grateful that I was able to create something like this, and it's basically from me watching my mom, teach kids with special needs. So I understood that at the end of the day, I just don't want to be an MC that comes out and sells records.
Right.
You do that, then what's after that? I figure that going into the schools is a better way to reach our youth. So I'm glad that the schools in New York City allowed me to do that, along with the colleges. And I'm at a point in time in my life where I understand the change with this whole pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that it's a time for us to really sit back and think about what we've created, and understand that it's going to be needed now, because once everything is lifted, when it's time to go back to schools and do certain things, you have to find a different way to approach these kids, because they were damaged just like we were.
Exactly.
It's not going to be a situation where these kids are going to be like, all right, let's go back to doing things the normal way. They're going to be rebellious at some point. Like, I just sat home for how many months and weeks. You got to try something different at this point. And I think that at this point, if we make sure everything is balanced and work, within this hip hop generation situation, that when we move forward, and like I said, use our superpowers, we should be good.
No doubt.
Can
No
I just
doubt.
share something really fast? And it's very
Yes, sir.
fast, but it connects to what Chip just said. One of the things that's been on my mind a lot, and I've had this conversation with Raquel, but it's been very seriously on my mind, is that we need a book developed that is the resource manual of Generation Hip Hop, that literally has a one sheet, right, for every particular chapter or organization that is under Generation Hip Hop that is doing a particular something, right? And what that will enable us to do is to show people on paper in a single location, this is all that is going on under the umbrella. It will also enable different Generation Hip Hop groups or communities to know where to find something, right?
Yeah.
If this particular thing is going on in this particular country, and this is the particular person to talk to. So, it's been on my mind, not because I thought of it, but Raquel has been talking about trying to draw together these resources for a long time.
Right.
And I've been hearing this constantly, and it's always been on my mind from that point. So if we can, at some point in the near future, work with her to develop those one sheets, we can then look at publishing that manual, right?
Yeah.
for circulation.
Yeah, great idea.
Can I say?
Hold on, 1 second, because we have two people that came in that didn't get a chance to do the intro. We have Jose. Jose, I don't see a picture and you're muted. So if you are still on there, you can unmute. You can kind of give an intro. And I see my brother Babaluku has joined in as well. Babaluku, can you hear me? Babaluku, can you hear me? I see both of them are not so. Exodus Payne, go ahead, because I see both of them on, but I don't hear either one of them. So Exodus Payne, go ahead, buddy.
I was just going to say, with helping Raquel, couldn't we just all write our superpowers, as Brother Chip says, and send them to Raquel, and then that way the manual's getting written, and we all say what we do and how we could help with our emails, if like, you know, contact details. I'm gone. That's it.
No doubt. Babaluku, are you there yet? Babaluku, Jose, are either one of you in yet? Okay. Yemi, do you have anything that you want to add to this vision part? Then we're going to go to McKenzie. So we're going to Yemi and then McKenzie, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, people, I hear everything, and then what I can say is right now I can can say that I'm learning a lot of things, especially by Dr. Reeves, and then as you said before, and I think I am one of the generation of people who are going to push the hip hop way forward. That I didn't even imagine like 10 years ago, because 10 years ago was not like the way we I'm how can I say that it is right now. I didn't think that one day I will be with all of those people who believe in that culture, and then I think I could do more by learning right now, learning by everyone. So I was planning to do things like creating a way to help other people, like especially for the delinquents kids around, to help them find a way to protect themselves to the violence in Haiti. So I think there's a lot I'm supposed to learn about the hip hop to be able to share. So as Carmelo said, we have to, I think we have to do something great and change our mind, do something very better than what we have before on our head to do. So being under that umbrella make me feel very powerful, because I see things very different right now. Because you know, every country have its own issues about how to create things, how to build something. So I think the umbrella gonna help me change a lot of things, and in my country especially. So yeah, that's the only thing I can say right now.
Okay, well, definitely appreciate that. And you know, on that same end, you know, all of the, I love the part about the whole superpowers. You know, people told me about 20 years ago, I began to call myself a celestial server. And I tell people in my own mind, I've thoroughly convinced myself that I am a superhero, that the celestial being served was here on this divine mission. And I actually go about living my life from that perspective. And that's how I view all of us as well. Because again, this is a work that everyone can't do. And more importantly, everyone doesn't even want to do. This is not the sexy side of hip hop. This is not the get rich or get famous side of hip hop. So those that are on the side, we are superheroes. So big up to bring it up to the forefront. Babaluku, can you hear me? Babaluku.
I can hear you, my brother.
All right, Babaluku.
Yeah, I hear you.
Give us an intro to kind of talk, you kind of catch up, you kind of just coming in now, but pleasure having you on here. Appreciate the clip you put today. Appreciate all of the work that you're doing over in Uganda and around the world. Babaluku, let the people know what's going on.
I mean, it's an honor to be, given the opportunity to be actually, direct in connection with everybody that's live on here right now. It's really amazing to see how we could all still connect under the circumstances, and continue, propagating and devising means to strengthen the culture. And
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop, baby. You know we hip hop. You know how we can't stop, won't stop. None of that. But go ahead, Baba. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so it's been on our hearts, especially here in East Africa. I could talk about the East because I've worked around all the Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya. And it's been on our hearts to continue expanding the connection, especially with the indigenous perspective, because we found a certain value in that narrative that we thought could be very healing, And so with that understanding, we are very much aware of our unified force that continues to actually give us strength to know that we can be a cure in each other's spaces. So even in this time, when we are looking at the COVID, situation, we're looking at the culture as a powerful testimony, because so many young people will be self-destructing right now, but because of the culture, they have a narrative, or they have a space, or they have an idea, that is finding a solution for a community as we speak, And so I feel like, the role we are playing with GHH, it's to, Generation Hip Hop is to allow all of us authentically to amplify, the shared commonalities, regardless of all the differences, that come from the different cultures we represent, but there's a unison, in the rhythm of the song that we are singing together, when we say hip hop, when we say culture, and that, we need to be, giving ourselves the opportunity to immerse ourselves deeply in that, deeper than the elements, deeper than the outreach, so that it's at the core of our human activated gifts. Here we always talk about gifts as the guiding compass to, activating our ancestral greatness. They rendered us the gifts. So through these gifts, in which, most often we term as elements, we're able to communicate. And so I think that it's time to amplify our communication with meaning and unapologetic, to allow the generation to know that hip hop is life. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the dance, it's not just the commercialism, or it's not just the entertainment. It's not how much merchandise we're going to push. It's actually at the core of life, like living, breathing, so that the young people have a new message that can literally tie them direct to the source.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's important, and that's what we need to, bring forward. And that's part of the work we've been doing here, is that how can we tie young people at the source of this information? Not in sound bites. How can we tie them at the source so they can holistically start moving towards the communities with responsibility? But yeah, we're very honored, Brother Minister Survey, thank you for the work. I know from when we met, you sent the message, it's been vibrant, it continues to leave, and we will continue to build. We're given this assignment, and we will keep forward in the ancestral assignment.
Yes, sir. We appreciate all of you on here. Jose, I see you on there, but I still don't know whether I see Jose Antonio Rojas. Can you hear me? Jose. Okay, it is about 2:45. I can't believe we've already been on this line for an hour and 45. Okay, here we go. Jose, here we go. Talk to us. Yeah,
what's up?
Tell us where you are and all that type of good stuff.
Yo, nice to meet you. It's a big pleasure for me.
Yeah, I'm from Venezuela, but now living in Ecuador.
Ecuador, okay, word.
And for me, this experience is very important. Sorry for my English, a little practice more, please. And Raquel, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Here I am.
Yeah, we can hear you. I am a multilingual in my mind at least. So go ahead.
Okay, okay. Raquel,
Yeah.
si puedes ayudarme
Sí,
también.
sí, yo te ayudo. Yo te ayudo.
Bueno, solo quiero compartir que me parece que es una experiencia muy bonita. Todo esto me parece una gran oportunidad estar aquí con vosotros, con todos ustedes. Y sé que es muy fuerte lo de la situación actual, pero este tipo de actividades que estamos haciendo hace que se mantenga la organización con mucha más fuerza y que podamos seguir buscando la manera y las alternativas para seguir trabajando en pro de la cultura hip hop. Si quiere, tradúceles para...
Sí. He said it is a great pleasure to be here and to meet you all. And this activity, this call is something very important for us, all about in the situation that we are living right now. So it is a way just to bring strength to the organization and to keep working and growing. So he is very happy to be here and to meet you all.
Yes, thank you.
Where's he from, Raquel?
Much love, much love.
Terrence, were you saying something, Terrence? Did you have something?
Where's Jose from? What does he represent, Ecuador or Venezuela?
Yes, yes. No, he's the manager of Generation Hiphop Ecuador.
Okay.
He was recruited just a month ago, and he has already started doing things with with representing Generation Hiphop. So he is so amazing, and he's from Venezuela, so he knows many members of the Generation Hiphop Venezuela chapter. He knows Apo and Dan Niguez and Oli Boy. So
Awesome.
the recommendation was amazing. And I'm so happy to have you here, Nanux.
Man, I'm just looking at all of the amazing people, and this is just a small portion of all the people that are involved. Again, I thank you all. This was kind of last minute. To be
really quickly, sir.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
Yes,
Quick, I just wanted to say, and I don't know, Raquel, if you want to translate this into Spanish for me. That's how rusty my Spanish is at this point. But I just want to say, I hope no one ever feels compelled again to have to apologize for their English, right? Those of us, we're the lazy ones, okay? And
extremely lazy.
They're multilingual.
Your English is better than whatever my language is in your home country, right? So don't
plug
hip hop is universal language. Hip hop is universal language.
Yes, most certainly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Most certainly. But again, I appreciate you all taking time out of your busy schedules. This is the first of many community conversations. As I said, to be completely honest, I've been doing this work since 1992 in Atlanta, and I've seen everything in Atlanta. And I tell people I love Atlanta and I hate Atlanta at the same time because there's just a number of different challenges. But I know that the work that we are doing matters. I know you all know that already, but I just wanted to affirm and say that. For all of the people that have a stereotypical view of what they think hip hop is, I'm glad that we're showing different. In fact, there's a campaign that I'll be talking to you all about a bit further that we're going to do, because I think one of the things that we have to understand is that this machine, the entertainment machine, they do a 24-hour, 365 job of marketing, promotion, a bunch of nonsense. And so they're even able to sell it. Dr. Rich was saying something before about us selling this, and we are selling. We're always selling all the time. But I don't have a problem with selling positivity, spirituality. I don't have a problem with selling those type of things, particularly when it's not necessarily tied to selling in a monetary sense, even though I agree with Tanji, that has to be a part of it. Because if we're going to provide the different resources, particularly now, different economies of the world are shifting. So we should most certainly be compensated for our value of what we're adding to any society. That should most certainly always be a part of it. So all of you again, I thank you for coming, being a part of the initial run of these hip hop community conversations. I see each and every one of you as hip hop, as a higher infinite power healing our people, as humble, intelligent people helping our problems, all the different positive acronyms that we want to put on hip hop. That is who we are. And in the spirit of Kuji Chakulia, self-determination, we will determine who we are and how it goes about. Everyone that knows me know the document you see above me, the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. That is our unifying document. When we went to the UN in 2001, that was to establish hip hop culture. It's not specific to any individual or any organization. So you don't have to be down with anyone except the culture itself. And those 18 principles speak to the highest ideals of humanity. No one is looking at that document and disagreeing with it, but it is for us to really promote that for ourselves so we can have something that kind of even things out, because we have our individual and our organizational ideologies, and that's fine. But we definitely need to have principles and values that supersede us and give us something to reach for. So the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace, if you don't already have that as the poster copy, which is behind me, and the PDF, email me at ministerserve@gmail.com. I can see JPEG, digital file, and the PDF. We have it in a few different languages as well. And for the languages that we don't have it in, I definitely want to speak to people about translating it, because those two principles are there to lay a foundation for health, love, awareness, peace and prosperity for ourselves and for our children's children. Babaluku has the poster side. You know, I'm kind of almost embarrassed about how other countries have gone forward and done much more with that document than we have done here. And yet next year is the 20th anniversary of that. So Generation Hip Hop, speaking of vision, Generation Hip Hop is going to lead us in that next phase of what we're going to do with the UN. Because now when we go there, it doesn't have to be symbolic. It can be something where we can actually go there and we put some things into action to move our people forward across the globe. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you for being a part of this historic call. I am recording it, so I will be posting different places. My YouTube channel, my underutilized channel, using that as well. So again, I thank you. Any closing words for anyone? Let's kind of go around the room again very quickly. We'll start with Dr. Carroll. Just kind of go around and give me a 30-second closing statement so we can get up out of here.
I'd just like to say thanks very much to everybody for your insights, and thank you, Mr. Server, for including me in this call. Before I went into education, I was a writer and photographer, and I still do that kind of work too. So when you all get around to doing the document you were talking about of outlines of every aspect of the organization, I'd be more than happy to help out with that.
Thank you, Dr. Carroll. Appreciate your work for sure. Dr. Rich?
Thank you, everybody. I'm just excited to see everybody on this. This is great. Mr. Server, thank you. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yes, sir. Terrence?
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. It's awesome to meet you, even though it's a cyber meet. It's lovely to swap ideas. And yeah, vision that is the key word for the future of Generation Hip Hop, where we go.
No doubt.
But some really great stuff, so thank you all for your time.
No doubt. Exodus Payne.
Yeah, I just want to say it's been a pleasure. And if any of you want to stay in touch and hit us up, you're more than welcome. And it's all love. Make sure you and your family stay blessed. I don't want to say stay safe, because safe is like, you know, it's quite like, oh, I need to be safe. Stay blessed and be blessed. And it's a pleasure meeting you all. Thank you.
True indeed. Yemi.
I am very proud to be part of this team, of this family. Necesito la pequeña ayuda de Raquel para decir algo bien. Estamos en un momento social y político importante y diferente, ¿no? Hay muchos cambios y creo que es el momento para que Generation Hip Hop dé sus pasos. Tenemos a los mejores en todos los elementos del hip hop, tenemos a los líderes que nos van a ayudar a dar pasos y como dice Richard, tenemos que proporcionar las herramientas a los jóvenes y a los equipos, a los managers para empezar a trabajar.
He said that we are in a very complicated situation, so now it's our time. It's the time of Generation Hip Hop. We have an amazing artists from all the elements. We have people doing an amazing work with a deep commitment. So it is our time to start our biggest project and just to bring the support to our managers and to all our chapters, the support that they really need.
Y es el momento de ser importantes, de Generation Hip Hop ser importantes.
Now it's our time to be, the important organization that is going to bring really support and an example to the rest of the world.
Give thanks. Carmelo.
Well, I'd just like to send my love to all my brothers and sisters of this global family. So thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you.
Give thanks. Mackenzie.
Oh, thank you for everyone who create that organization, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And I think, as I said before, that family can be a cure for the hurt. And then let's do everything we can to build a new generation of people who believe in each other and family and hip hop culture. So it's a pleasure to represent Haiti and hip hop.
No doubt. Appreciate you being on. Babaluku.
Yeah, so much love to everybody, wherever you're situated on the planet. Thank you for representing the community, for standing for something. And of course, I would just encourage the idea of rootedness, continue to practice your element from a rooted perspective, honor the gift, and continue to honor the ancestral assignment. But when we do such, we are availed for, and they guide us and continue to pave new ways for this conversation to continue and for the culture to be celebrated. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother. Tangi?
It is an absolute blessing to represent the fifth element of knowledge with so many others on this call. I just want to kind of throw out my catchphrase, my buzzword for my contribution, which is philanthropic equity. And that's just a fancy multi-syllabic term that means we need to be sharing resources effectively across our culture. If hip hop is a multi-billion-dollar organization, it's time for hip hop cultural participants to see, the benefits and the rewards of that industry.
Yeah, and you know what? Principle number 17 speaks directly to that. Principle number 17 speaks directly to that.
I can promise you, I have zero interest in accepting a single dollar from Generation Hip Hop for my entire life. However, I intend fully to put a lot of resources into this organization.
Appreciate that. Jose, and then we'll end off with Raquel. Go to Jose, then Raquel.
Hi guys, thank you so much. It's a very pleasure for me. Stay here and bless for all. Much love, respect. I hope see you soon. Woo! Peace.
That's that.
Raquel.
I just want to say thank you all, not just to be in this call, in this beautiful call, but also to be part of Generation Hip Hop. I think that it is a great pleasure to work with all of you, to learn from all of you. You really inspire me every day, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful to feel the love and that energy to keep growing. So it is a real pleasure, and I just want to say thank you all.
Well, thank you all again, and if we can end the way that we started, I'd like for you all, whatever position is most comfortable, to communicate with the Creator. I want to end off with a prayer. And again, I invite you to allow your eyes to close so you can focus on the Creator within you. And in the name of the Most High, source energy known by many different attributes. And as I said, with us, that is never a dispute. We know there's one power, one presence, one intelligence, the spirit of immortality within us, expressing itself through us as a higher, infinite power, healing our people. Yes, we are hip hop, and we are here to make a difference in the world. We are not here by accident, by circumstance. We could have been anywhere else. But through the spirit of the Creator and through the spirit of our ancestors, we chose right here, right now. And I give thanks for everyone who's here. And may you travel safely to your next destination as you travel here. And we send you forward in light, love, peace, and wisdom. It is true. We let it be. And there it is. Amen. Ashe. Word.
Ashe. Word.
Have a great day, good people. We did it. We made history. We did it. We made it happen. Yes, yes, yes.
Much love.
Thank you, sir.
I got the African. Yeah.